Welcome to the Whole Couple Podcast, the space where entrepreneurial couples come to build thriving businesses and marriages.
We are your hosts, Dana and Adam, a couple who knows firsthand what it takes to grow a business while keeping love, connection, and purpose at the center of it all.
If you've ever wondered how to pursue your dreams together without sacrificing your relationships, you're in the right spot.
Each month, we're going to share stories, strategies, and real conversations with millionaire couples to help you navigate the highs and lows of being in the business with the person that you love most.
So, whether you're just starting out or scaling to new heights, we're here to guide and inspire you to create a life and business you love together. This is the Whole Couples Podcast. Let's dive in.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining. We were very excited to have our first free webinar all about the whole couple. We have our mission statement on here for the whole couple at the bottom, and so we wanted to share that with you guys. And it is that we help entrepreneurial couples build thriving relationships, aligned goals, and lasting wealth through proven systems and hands-on techniques so that you can grow together as whole life millionaires.
That's right.
So we are, we're very excited. We feel passionate about this. And so we wanted to make sure that tonight we give you some good value, and then we explain to you what the community is. So there's three big takeaways that you're going to walk away with tonight that we're going to share with you that we worked really hard on researching. So we hope that you enjoy them.
So these are the benefits that we're going to go over tonight. So this is going to be an educational piece. This is going to be something that is same, but different from the community that we're going to share with you here at the end and want you all to be a part of. Though tonight we're going to go over these. The three biggest mistakes entrepreneurial couples make. Yep. We've made them, and we're going to share those with you. The 12 stages. And we've been interviewing.
We've been interviewing a ton of whole life net worth millionaire couples, and these three mistakes seem to be very
prevalent throughout all of them.
All of them pretty much have struggled with these at some point.
For sure. The second thing we're going to cover tonight are the 12 stages of what we call our whole couple framework. And then lastly, we're going to cover the shift to scale your business without sacrificing your relationship, which is really, really important. Yeah. But before we go into any of that,
we're going to share with you a little
story to share with you.
We're going to share with you a story. So our coach said, open with a great story. Yeah. And we were really thinking about this. And I thought that we would share a story of maybe when we didn't know all of these things that we know now that we're going to share with you. And
so let's be honest, we didn't hardly know any of these things.
We knew nothing. Yeah, we basically knew nothing. We were new in our relationship. And mind you guys, both Adam and I have both been married before. Mm-hmm. So we have a little bit different of a perspective. So our goal with that is either we can help you guys to know these things in advance so that no one goes through a divorce, or if you are a second marriage like us, you definitely don't make the same mistake twice. That's right. And so you can learn from it to have a great, successful second marriage. But this photo is our first trip that we ever took together when we very first were dating. And it was a trip to Belize. It was to Belize, and Adam had very good intentions with the trip. It was a great intention. It was a couples trip. And other couples were going. It was through an organization that Adam is a part of. And Adam said, hey, we're going to go to Belize. And I had no clue where Belize even was or anything about Belize. It just sounded like it was going to be the ocean. So I was like, this is going to be great. So we renewed our passports, as you can see here. Mm-hmm. And we were just ready for this great trip. And it was less than great.
Well, hold on. Let's pause for a second. The trip was amazing. The expectations that I failed to set were not amazing. And that's going to be something we're going to talk about here in this relationship space. That's right. Communication.
And expectation.
And expectation setting. So this one right here.
The trip started with my largest fear in life, which is hopper airplanes. We landed at this airport. I'm like, great, we're here. We get off and I see people rolling our luggage outside and everyone's starting to walk to this little tiny plane that's like seats 6 people. And I'm like, what are we doing? And they're like, oh, this takes you to where we're really going. And I'm like, this is a joke, right? We're not getting on that plane. So I almost had a heart attack right when we got there.
And I had no idea that she had these fears. None whatsoever. Even so, I mean, I was ready for a fun adventure. And
By the way,
I thought she was ready for a fun adventure too, until I saw the look on her face when the guy who's in the orange, who was helping pack the bags, also turned to be the pilot. and looked at Dana and said, "Oh, you can sit in the front seat." And you said,
"Absolutely not." No. He's like, "Lightest person in the front." I'm like, "No, that's not. I'll sit in the very back."
Oh, we're in trouble.
So then we get there, and one of our first activities is taking this bus to this
Jaguar Preserve.
I was going to say cheetah, Jaguar Preserve, and we go through this long river on these tubes, which, like, this picture, you kind of can't hardly tell, but I mean, it was okay. And then they take us to this picture, which just the look on my face is hilarious.
Sliding down rocks.
We slid down rocks in the middle of this jungle, and it was a whole nother thing. Like, not, I mean, you know, nothing I would have picked. I would have much rather been at the beach. And from that experience, Adam got chiggers all in his leg hairs. And so he's covered with hundreds of bites all over his whole body. So we're trying to find a way to, this was actually, I think, like the second day when it didn't look as bad, but we're trying to figure out how to treat that. Then we go that night, and remind you, this is our first trip. We're with all these couples. There's somebody leading it. And the first exercise is this: stare into each other's eyes for like 5 minutes without looking away.
That's right.
And we're like, this is the most awkward thing we've ever done.
Yeah.
I don't even know who took this picture, but
I don't either.
I'm like, it was the most, we were like, okay, well,
but
here we
are.
are.
Right here, we were starting to fall in love without communication, without expectation set, right? Yeah.
So funny, funny. So then I took control of the trip and said, okay, I can't do this anymore. We're going to the spa at this really great hotel. So we go to this spa in this hut, and Adam gets a seaweed massage.
Hold on, let's pause for a second. So I had control of the trip, and we were at a Jaguar Preserve. We were going down waterfalls on rocks, and she says, "Well, I'm going to take control of this trip." And the next thing I know, I'm wrapped in seaweed. So it went from her worst to like, what in the world am I doing?
You enjoyed it. You enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. It was good. It was good. And then this was us on the way home. So we ended the trip. We still were together, but we had not great expectation setting, not great communication. As you can tell by the look on my face here, I'm back on the puddle jumper, about to just pray for a solid 25 minutes. So we wanted to share that story with you because we haven't always known what we know now. That's and right. At the end, we're going to show you how we feel like we really got to where we are now.
That's right.
And it was through a lot of intentionality that every couple can do.
Right. So we're going to dive into the benefits that we're going to share with you tonight. And we wanted to share that story with you because a lot of our mistakes that we made early on in the beginning, we're going to help uncover here because both Dana and I are entrepreneurs. Both Dana and I run 1,000,000 miles an hour with our hair on fire, more so her than me. And these are some of the biggest mistakes that we have not only handled and worked with, we've learned through some of the people who have been mentors of ours.
Yeah, and we can see many of you guys that are on here right now are all entrepreneurs also.
That's right.
Most of you, not all of you, but most of you are. And so these should really resonate with you. So after a lot of research and interviews, we have found that these are the 3 common mistakes that keep most couples from growth in their relationship, also in their businesses, and can sometimes make them just feel stuck. And that's what we don't want couples to feel, right? So mistake number 1, we'll just go through this kind of quickly, is they focus on the business over connection. Right. And when you're both entrepreneurs, especially if you're in the same business, which we have different ones and some together, but it is very easy to focus on the business. If any of you have listened to the first 2 episodes that we've dropped on our whole couple podcast and YouTube show, both Linda and Jim and Tim and Jen, the McKissicks and the Winters, the ones that have dropped so far, both said on there that they had trouble focusing only on the business over them connecting with themselves. And they gave great examples and kind of how they worked through that.
Yeah.
But what happens with this one is one or both partners pour all their energy into the business, leaving little time or energy for the relationship. And so that can cause disconnection, resentment, and a sense of growing apart. And so the solution for this would be to prioritize time together, just as you would with business tasks, and to build connection time into your schedule and treat it as sacred. And I used to think that if you had to put it on your calendar, if you had to put connection time on your calendar, like there was a problem, but that's not the case, especially when you're running as fast as we do and most of you do on this Zoom.
Yeah. And as entrepreneurs, I mean, that's what you do the majority of the time anyways. You run really fast. And when you get into a relationship with either an entrepreneur or a W-2 individual or someone that maybe stays home, if you're not planning and you're focusing on business over connection, that's going to be a recipe for disaster. I can tell you that. Let's look at number 2.
Hold on. Before we go to number 2, just we gave a couple of examples on these. So like regular date nights, that's also something that you will hear from the couples that we've interviewed for the show and the podcast, that they make a priority. They do not miss regular date nights. You'll hear that as a theme over and over, which by the way, was a great reminder for us because we used to be better at date nights actually than what we were last year. We, as silly as it sounds, we both like to get in the hot tub before we go to bed at night, just kind of relaxes us. And so we prioritize the hot tub time as just kind of connection like time. How was your day? And what are you looking forward to tomorrow? And what do we want to do this weekend? Or if you're like us, where do we want to eat? Or what are we going to cook?
Right.
And then an example of this one, prioritizing connection time into your schedule, we prioritize a trip a quarter just for us. Whether it's one night of a staycation at the post house, at a hotel in our neighborhood, or it's a weekend, that we zip down to Florida or North Carolina or wherever it is. But we prioritize at least a quick 1 or 2 nights, just us every single quarter.
And sometimes even with that one, and then we'll move on, we may be going to an event that we will do a little bit stay over or go early to make that connection time. Because here's the thing. As entrepreneurs, you're running fast. As human beings, you're running fast. And focusing on business over connection is a recipe for disaster.
Yep.
Number 2, misaligned goals and expectations. This is a good one.
This is back to the trip.
It really is. So couples operate on different paths, right? And that's okay. Sometimes it's okay to operate on different paths. I have a path. Dana has a path. Though when you have misaligned visions on the future, that's where the real challenge is. And we have our vision. We do our vision boards together. Every family member has their own unique vision boards, though we actually have a family vision statement. We have family values, and they are aligned. And now we had to get them aligned, right? Yeah. We definitely had to get them aligned.
Yeah.
So what's the impact there? So the impact is frustration. The impact is unmet expectations and lack of momentum as a team, right? And I know that you've felt that before. We've even felt that before. And so you've got to get back on track. So what's the solution? Is regularly you realign with your goals and check in with each other to stay on the same page, both personally and professionally. So with Dana and I both running 100 million miles an hour, her in the market centers, me in the coaching space, we have to ask each other about our days. We have to ask each other about the goals. Are we on track for the goals? Are we not on track for the goals? And here's the thing that I think is really important for everyone to hear. When we have those types of conversations, there's no judgment. It's total curiosity and coming from a place of care.
Yeah.
Right? I really care what her offices are doing. I really care what her people are doing as it relates to growing and what she's doing for growing. And is she on track for all that?
A couple of things on this one too, just to give some ideas. We said vision boards, but we have, Adam mostly does them now, but we have monthly finance call with our finance team just to make sure we're realigned with our finance goals. Are we off track or what do we need to do with that? And then we have regular calendar meetings. We get a place where we can get sideways very quickly. In full transparency is with calendar. Yeah. For a lot of couples, like statistically nationally, it's in the finances. We do pretty good there, and we align in our financial goals, so we're good with that. But the calendar and the timing for us, we can get out of alignment very quickly. So we run a tight calendar with months at a glance, and every month we sit down and really go through those to see what tennis tournaments popped up. When am I out of town? What does Adam have going on? And when do we have a vacation coming up? Who's watching the dogs? All the things.
Yeah.
And it's definitely very important.
You got to stay aligned in that space. And I'll give you a simple little example. And we're not perfect at this. Just at the end of January, we didn't have our calendars completely synced up. And I was in Utah. She was in Kentucky. and our teenage kids were home alone. They were home alone for, was it 2 nights?
3 nights.
3 nights. 3 nights.
Well, my mom was there. So
well, kind of. Yeah.
So she lives next door. So she
But that's
kind of
what
kept.
happens, right?
But yeah, I mean, he didn't realize I was going to Kentucky. I didn't realize he was going on a ski trip. And it was the week before. And we were like,
Oops.
oh, crap. This is what happens when we don't stay aligned with our calendars.
All right.
Mistake number 3. This is overworking without a shared vision.
Mm-hmm.
And this always leads to burnout. So if one partner feels unsupported while the other is super overwhelmed, burnout, conflict, a sense of I'm carrying it all alone on my own back by myself can happen. So with this one, you just have to create a clear shared vision of what success looks like for the both of you, and not just in business, but in life as a whole. So you kind of mentioned, but we have our family mission, vision, and values framed in our TV room upstairs. We have our vision boards like everywhere on our phones. We have them laminated in our calendars so that we're on the same page. We communicate about those things, and then we regularly update our goals every year. And some things come off and some things stay on. But we're definitely looking at them annually.
Yeah. So these are the 3 biggest mistakes that we are hearing, have heard, have experienced, and so on and so forth with these 3 right here.
Yep.
Now, let's go to the whole couple framework. We're not going to go through all of these. I actually want to bring them up here.
Yeah.
So here are 8, and there are a total of 12.
I think a couple of them we could just point out.
Go for it.
So the first 2, alignment and purpose, these are your foundational stages. Sorry, I blanked on the word. These are the foundational stages. If you don't have alignment, meaning you're defining your joint vision, and then your purpose, you discover your mission together as a couple, no matter, what that is, there's no right or wrong. What's the mission, and the purpose for Adam and I might be different for Dylan and Lauren or whoever, but so there's no right or wrong. It's just, I just discovered a typo in the word discover. Yep. No pun intended. But you need to know that those are their foundational ones, and there are key questions for each of these. Yes. And we can send these out, but because they're not on the screen. But for alignment, it's what do we truly want for our future together? Right. And for purpose, it's how can we create impact beyond ourselves?
That's right.
And so if you can really think about those 2 key questions as the foundation of the framework for your relationship, then everything else kind of builds on top of that.
I want to go into the communication one here real quick, because that seems to be a theme here. And I'm going to go into the key question that we are developing for all of you in this. And it's not to say that you don't have it, though you can always be better. And the key question for communication, strength, trust, and understanding is, are we listening to each other? Right? Are we listening to each other? And how do you know you're listening to each other? And that's something that we're going to really pour into in the couples community is a communication space, right? And we've got some surprises for you guys that we're going to share with you, though this is going to be a big one.
Yeah, definitely a big one. Yep. Number 5, I wanted to point out resilience, just adapting and thriving during adversity. Part of our community, we have an awesome expert that's going to talk about adversity for you guys. But this one, the key question is, how can we support each other when things get hard? And the reason why I wanted to highlight this one is because there are going to be times in every couple's relationship and every person's life when unexpecteds happen or when things get hard. I was actually in my Bible study yesterday morning, and one of the ladies who I love so much was talking about how her company closed, and her January 1st was her last paycheck, and she's the breadwinner for her family. So they're going through a lot of adversity. We have another friend who is, going through a layoff. I mean, there's just tons of people pass away. My example for this was Adam's dad passed away a few years before my dad passed away just a year and a half ago. And, that was one of the most, for me, was the most challenging thing I've ever been through in my entire life. I know it was for you as well. And had we not understood and tried to help navigate for each other during those times, and really made that a priority, that could have been a bad spot for our relationship, because anytime you're going through, you're grieving, it's not good.
That's right. Yep. Let's look at number 7 here real quick.
Oh, I had 6.
You had 6?
Yeah.
We'll do 6 and I'll do 7.
Okay, because just real fast, 6, wellness, because physical and spiritual health is so important to us. So I just had those as a really important one. Build routines that support your health and your well-being. And so the key question on number 6 is, are we taking care of ourselves and each other in a physical space, emotional space, and most importantly, spiritual health?
That's right. So each one of these, there's 12 of them. Each one of them have a specific focus and a specific key question that goes along with it. And we're just sharing with you a few of them right now. Momentum, though, is a big one that I like to focus on, breakthrough plateaus. And the focus here is to create systems to maintain progress and stay motivated, right? The progress point is the neat part, right? So let's just take the kids' tennis. Each year, they are growing in their spaces to increase their rankings. And Dana and I both will have times where it's like, another tournament, another tournament. And we have to look at the goals to see, are we on track or are we off track?
Yeah.
And the question that we ask there is, what's one area we can improve together this month?
Yeah, which is really important. Yep. How can we grow?
That's right.
Number 8, before we move on, roles. This is a big one. We talk to a lot of couples that don't have their roles defined. And, I think previously, I feel like roles were kind of like a bigger word, but now truthfully, the question here is, are we clear on how we divide our roles? And when we were going through this, I was thinking our roles now are pretty clear. I mean, Adam handles the outside of the house. I handle the inside of the house. Adam handles doing like the financial stuff for the most part. I do the calendar and schedule for the most part. Spending. Oh, I do the spending too. Yes, that is accurate.
Yes.
We definitely have, I like to load the dishwasher. He unloads the dishwasher.
True.
You guys might have seen our funny reel, but I throw the
boxes
outside. He breaks the boxes down. Yeah. We kind of have pretty clear roles, but if you don't, then that's a great spot to work on. Right. And then the last 3, legacy, connection, and growth. Celebration and then growth. I wanted to acknowledge number 11 and number 12 just really quickly. Celebration. I feel like this is something that we're pretty good at. Some of them we struggle with, and this one I feel like we're pretty decent at, but it takes intention. And I just wanted to share with you the key question here is, how can we honor what we've achieved so far?
That's right.
So even if on a monthly basis, like you hit a big goal or you have a big win, or at the end of the year, or something happens, and it could be like you hit a weight loss goal, or you hit a financial goal, or you bought another rental, or whatever it is. Don't forget that the best couples and the best relationships, they celebrate the little wins together. Right. They don't just fly past them onto the next one. That's something we've learned very well from Linda and Jim.
Correct.
Yeah. The McKissicks, our mentors, taught us about celebrating little wins, and they shared times with us that they didn't celebrate wins because they were so on to the next, and they forgot that they wrote a New York Times bestseller book one month. So celebrating little wins. And then number 12, growth, always planning your next chapter. The question for this one is, what's the next big thing that we want to create or do together? Yeah. And I liked this one because it just reminded me to remind y'all that when you aren't growing and planning, you're becoming complacent.
And stagnant.
Yeah. And I shared this earlier, but I always remember what John Maxwell has taught us, which is do everything that you can to avoid getting in a rut, because it's hard as crap to get out of a rut. And same thing with complacency. When you grow complacent, it's very hard to get out of complacency.
Because what comes next? Complacency leads to boredom. Boredom leads to frustration. Frustration leads to resentment. And then resentment is like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a really key one. And so what we're going to do here with this framework, and what we want to help you guys with is create this plan.
Yeah.
Right. Create this plan, monthly focus, end of month reflections, and then community support. And we're going to share a little bit more about that here coming up shortly. So let's go to the last one here. So the implementation strategy, the shift that changes everything. Now, here's the 2 key words here. Move from a separate priorities to a unified strategy.
Yeah.
So you're hearing a lot of commonalities going from 2 islands to one island, one big island that's
And
together,
by the way, I would say this is whether you work together day in, day out. Like I know some of you do, like Lindsay and Priscilla, you guys work together, everything you do every single day. Where some of you on here, Ruth and Lads might, for instance, like they don't work together every day in the business, but they
have a relationship
and they have common things that they want to do together. So whether you're every day in the business or not, you still can have a unified strategy.
That's right. Yep, exactly. So 3 practical steps to make this shift to go from separate priorities to unified strategy is number 1, weekly alignment meetings. You've heard that now a couple times as we've gone through this. Again, what does that even really mean? Communication.
Yeah.
Right? Communication.
Making the time for it. Yeah.
Define your roles.
Which, by the way, on the weekly alignment meetings, like our schedule tends to allow us to do monthly meetings a little bit better.
Well, we've been able to graduate to that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been able to graduate that. Define your roles. Now, we're not talking 1950s roles here. We're talking about a specific. You guys couldn't see her hand. She was like, "Yeah." No.
I just was like, "Yeah, that's so old school."
Defining your roles is kind of what we just already talked about. With it's inside the house, outside of the house. Simple little things that work well for each other in your relationship, in your businesses together. And last one, prioritize that connection time, right? That's definitely what it really boils down to at the end. And we wrote this down here. Go ahead.
And well, I was just going to say, and when you do those things, what happens next is what this quote says, which is when you align your business strategy with your relationship goals, you create momentum that benefits every area of your life. And when you have momentum in your relationship, it rolls over into your business. When you have momentum in your business, it rolls over into your finances, and you get momentum in the financial space, in your wealth building space. So it all flows together.
And I love this language, moving from a separate priorities to a unified strategy.
Yeah.
Right. Making that a key part of who you are in your business world together, in your relationship world together, and moving in a unified strategy.
Yep.
So let's talk about our community.
Yes.
Go for it.
Oh, me. Okay. So we have a couple of different facets of the community. We have a free section that anybody can take a part of. And then we have a more committed, growth-focused section that people will pay to be a part of. And that's really for people who are 6- and 7-figure earners at this point. If you're not, you could definitely still do it too, but it's going to be more geared towards those 6- and 7-figure earners that really want to up their proximity, up their growth, achieve big financial goals, and do those things. So this is what this part is, the paid community. I'm going to explain to you what that is, and I'll show you the pricing and how that works. But we have, for the paid community, we have 2 live Zooms a month, and they're not webinar style, they're actually Zooms. And so the first one is with a community expert, and this is for really high level growth and proximity. Of the 12 things that we showed you earlier with for the whole couple framework, a lot of those we have an expert for almost every month. So for alignment and purpose, communication, financial clarity, we have our financial
CFO. He's our
advisor.
CFO,
coming on. We have a great person to talk about when things get hard, how to get through adversity. He's a huge entrepreneur who just went through a massive lawsuit that wasn't his fault. And he's going to walk everybody through how he and his wife handled the adversity of that. We have amazing people in the physical, emotional, and spiritual space coming. We've got
relational.
We've got growth. We have so many. So once a month, will be a live Zoom with a community expert. Here are a few of those experts that we have on here. And then we have a couple that are going to be surprises. And we
can't show all of them to you.
That's right. We're very excited about those.
Yep.
And then the second live Zoom a month is going to be with us, and it'll be 45 minutes to an hour. And we will be teaching you a specific model for your growth and relationship that month.
That's right.
Where we'll be actually like drawing out a model on an iPad or on a whiteboard somewhere that's worked for us, that someone has taught us, or quite frankly, we've probably paid a lot of money to learn from somebody, that we're going to bring to the community.
Right.
The community will have a Mighty app where we will be putting tons of resources, tools. You will be able to connect with each other.
All the recordings will be on there.
Every recording, when you're a part of the paid community, every recording is in there for you to go back and watch, to connect with, and we'll tell you a little bit more about that in a minute.
And the key, hold on, before you continue, is one of the biggest things that we really wanted to impart on you all is proximity.
Yes.
Right. So proximity meaning connection.
Don't give it away because we have to show them the slide.
Oh, okay.
The proximity slide.
That's right. Okay. Though here's the thing. We have spent 6 and probably 7 figures over the years connecting with all of these industry experts. And the idea is that we love to give. We love to give. We love to give. We love to expose. We love to create proximity. And so that's one of the biggest focuses that I know we have is when these experts come in, we're going to bring them into the community part of the back end, if you will, where you guys can have connections with them and build connections with them. So it's not like they're just up on stage and then they're gone. You're there with them, experiencing them and connecting with them if you need to bring them into your life.
Yeah, some of them you may want to hire. Yeah. I mean, it's, like we have. So we just want to, we want to foster those connections. And then in the future, we are going to be putting together something that Adam learned from his Go Abundance group. Do you want to tell them about the couple pods?
So the idea behind the couples pods is we are going to take couples based on your likes, maybe based on your location, geography based on your goals, and connect you into pods. Very similar to maybe like small groups also. And I've been doing this now for, nearly 12 years inside of Go Abundance. And it's incredible. The connections that I've made with these individuals in my pods are life-changing type connections.
Yeah.
And that's our intention with the couples, the whole couples group is we're going to connect you in pods in the future. Yep, for sure. Anything else here?
No.
Okay, perfect. So,
so that's that.
Here's how you go do it. So we want you to go right now to go to thewholecouple.com and you can register for the community 2 different ways.
If I click on this, is it gonna?
Yeah, it's not gonna be shown there.
Okay, but I'm just. Here, never mind. You go back. Okay.
So
I was gonna try to put the link for you guys, but in the chat, but we can.
The chat right there.
Okay.
Yeah. So what you can do is you can go to thewholecouple.com and there you can click on the 2 subscription paths. One of them is to pay for it all up front for the entire year. It's $3,000, or you can pay monthly and it's $300. Yes, there is a savings if you pay for it the entire year. And though we don't know what your budgets are, though this is, again, you now stepping into a space to solve some of the problems that we have already helped ourselves solve so we can help you guys solve those problems going forward. The first community expert call will be next Thursday. It'll be next Thursday, 7 o'clock. So we did this time intentionally tonight, 7 o'clock. And guess what? For my birthday, because that'll be my birthday, I want you all to sign up. Go sign up right now. Birthday. Yes, go sign up for the community. And this is going to be an incredible process of growth.
Yeah.
Yep.
And remember, one thing we just want you to think about here that was probably one of the biggest lessons for us is this is not an expense, it's an investment.
That's right.
And when you want to have big growth, then you have to use an investment mindset, not necessarily a expense mindset. Yep.
That's right.
So we'll send you guys more information on that. So just to wrap up, how we went from this picture in the beginning to now. This was our family picture this year. It has been when we look back, the number one thing that we could attribute the growth and the success that we've had. And by the way, we still are growing just like everybody else. But from then to now, the number one thing we can attribute that to is proximity to great people.
That's right.
And we went through, and I mean,
many pictures.
Again, we paid for a lot of these, and some of these we've met through other connections, but the connections that we have been able to make with so many great people and the who's that have been in our lives are really what's catapulted us over to just have tremendous growth over the last, I don't know, several years.
Right. And the idea here is, again, we want to share this part with you of connecting the dots.
Yeah.
Right. So our growth is not accidental. Our growth has been very intentional and very on purpose with the people that we've connected with that we are going to now bring to you all.
Oh, we forgot to mention Mac and Cindy Lake.
That's right.
Are going to be experts too. Brandon Lake's parents, and we have loved them. We've loved getting to know them so much.
Simon's going to be there.
Yeah, Simon and his wife are going to be there. Yep. So lastly, we just want to close with this. We have felt very called for the last couple of years to do this community, and our schedules have allowed us to not do it. And we said that's not happening in 2025. Right. This is the year for us to launch the community and to bring a lot of value. And we saw this quote and we were like, this is for us. And it says, it doesn't matter how oversaturated the market is. If God called you to it, there's room for you.
That's right.
And we know that there's a lot of communities and a lot of things that you all could be a part of. Yet, if you feel like this is in alignment with you as a couple, we would love for you to jump on the journey with us and let's grow together. And our commitment is that we know we will bring you value in a big way. So we will be sending out more information. We'll have a lot of free things. Also, our podcasts are dropping the first Monday and the third Monday of every month. So if you haven't, go check those out and listen to those. We'll drop this recording. So if anyone wants to go back, share it with people that you care about.
That's right.
We'd love for you to share it with your friends, your peers, your family, whoever you think would be great to grow as a couple. And if you have any questions, just feel free to reach out.
That's right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you,
Take care.
Paul.
See ya.
Have
Bye.
a good night. See ya.